Tonight is cinema's biggest night, the Oscars, of course, a celebration that did not stop Donald Trump, though, from melting down on Truth Social, because this night is like any other to Donald Trump. He is going to throw a temper tantrum, which came suspiciously close to when Conan O'Brien was delivering his monologue and a couple of shots at Donald Trump, including making a jab at the size of his stuff, mocking the Epstein files, and, of course, Kid Rock, Donald Trump's dear, dear friend. And it is why he was attacking the media, attacking the press, melting down more broadly over the state of his collapsing term, but it began before the Oscars even did, with protests of ICE and Donald Trump, where I want to start before we get to Conan and, of course, the meltdown post from Donald Trump. Defiant stars take Trump protest to next level on Oscars red carpet. Stars are wrapping up the award season with a cherry on top of their anti-ICE sentiment. Soccer star player Abby Wambach walked the red carpet on Sunday with her partner Glennon Doyle, who donned a black bejeweled handbag with the message "Fuck ICE" on it. Singer-songwriter Sarah Bareilles appeared on the red carpet wearing the ICE out pins that stars have been wearing all season, just a month after performing an original song at an anti-ICE protest in New York City. The ICE Out campaign pins have become a staple of award seasons, with celebrities like Justin Bieber and Billie Eilish among those wearing them at February award shows. A variation on the pins "Be Good" in honor of 37-year-old mom of three Renee Good, who was gunned down by an ICE agent in January, was worn by stars Mark Ruffalo and others at the Golden Globes. The Independent Spirit Awards included anti-ICE messages from the stage, including from an Emmy winner and White Lotus star Natasha Rothwell, who went off script to say "Fuck ICE" last month, as did artist who took the stage at the Golden Globes and Grammys. The more overt anti-ICE protest on the red carpet at the Oscars suggests more comments from the stage later in the evening will certainly be coming. So the night was off to a great start, not for Donald Trump, but for calling out this fascist regime, which is exactly what we should be able to do. But that fundamental attack, that fundamental right has been under attack by Donald Trump's administration since day one. They have worked so incredibly hard to have us scared or believing that they should be in control of what is and isn't said, which is why moments after Conan O'Brien humiliated Donald Trump, which I want to get to, he made this post on Truth Social. Now, I think it perfectly sets up the way that Conan mocked him. So before we get to it, I want to read Donald Trump's meltdown attacking the media and anyone on television who wants to make fun of our fascist president. Donald Trump wrote on Truth Social in a very lengthy post, "Iran has long been known as a master of media manipulation and public relations. They are militarily ineffective and weak, but are really good at feeding the very appreciative fake news media false information. Now AI has become another disinformation weapon that Iran uses quite well, considering they're being annihilated by the day. They showed phony kamikaze boats shooting at various ships at sea, which look wonderful, powerful, and vicious, but those boats don't exist. It's all false information to show how tough their already defeated military is. The 5 U.S. refueling planes that were supposedly struck down and badly damaged, according to the Wall Street Journal's false reporting, and others are all in service, with the exception of one, which will soon be flying the skies. Buildings and ships that are shown to be on fire are not. It's fake news generated by AI. For instance, Iran working in close coordination with the fake news media shows our great USS Abraham Lincoln aircraft, one of the largest and most prestigious ships in the world, burning uncontrollably in the ocean. Not only was it not burning, it was not even shot at. Iran knows better than to do that. The story was knowingly fake, and in a certain way, you can say that those in the media and the outlets that generated it should be brought up on charges for treason for the dissemination of false information." So you continue to hear Donald Trump in this post say that anyone creating AI images or photos, which his administration regularly does to push their propaganda, should be put in jail. That is what Donald Trump wants to do. He wants to say to anyone using AI, which his administration does and has completely deregulated to the detriment of every American who is not a tech billionaire, Donald Trump is saying that you are going to be charged with treason. So I can suspect that when Conan O'Brien used his very big platform tonight at the Oscars to say this, Donald Trump did not have a lot of fun with these jokes. Conan O'Brien mocks MAGA at Oscars with brutal Kid Rock dig. Conan O'Brien promised that he would be staying apolitical at this year's Oscars, but he couldn't help taking a couple of digs at MAGA in his opening monologue. "I should warn you, tonight could get political," the host said from the stage at the Sunday night, "and if that makes you uncomfortable, there's an alternate Oscars hosted by Kid Rock at Dave & Buster's down the street." MAGA's Turning Point USA infamously staged an alternative Super Bowl halftime show opposite Bad Bunny's main event, which was plagued by technical difficulties and was watched by a small fraction of the massive audience who watched the Puerto Rican superstar. The rest of O'Brien's jokes stayed more focused on the nominated films, but then Conan had a little bit more fun. He briefly returned to the Trump administration's biggest scandal when he noted that this year is the first time since 2012 that no British people are nominated for Best Actor or Best Actress. A British spokesperson commented, "Yeah, well, at least we arrest our pedos," the host joked, referring to the arrest of former Prince Andrew, while the American men implicated by the Epstein files, who are in Donald Trump's administration, walk free. The joke about the plot of another Best Picture nominee felt like it was aimed at both sides of the aisle, and Hamnet, Shakespeare's wife, gives birth by herself in the woods, are what we call in America affordable health care. After the first commercial break, Conan did my favorite joke of the night so far. O'Brien got in one more brutal joke at Trump when he welcomed the audience back to the "Has a Small Penis Theater. Let's see his name. Put on that." The host added, burning the man behind the Trump Kennedy Center without even saying his name. Honestly, if Donald Trump is going to put his name on one thing, I'm fine for it to be the Donald Trump Has a Small Penis Theater. Much like I have said that the Trump Kennedy Memorial Theater. I like that the memorial is in there because he still left the memorial. He put his name on it, but it still said memorial because I think we can all agree when we see memorial next to that name someday soon. The internet's talking about Netanyahu being dead. We could go twofer. We could get the best of both worlds. Let's just say a quick prayer. But this is Donald Trump and what he will be focused and probably freaking out about for the rest of the night. A couple of jokes from Conan. I'm assuming more to come, but remember where we were a year ago, or maybe a year and change. Donald Trump and his stooges had convinced many in the mainstream press that they had won the culture war, that they were culturally dominant in America. And a lot of people bought into that. I don't know if you remember that magazine cover that was incredibly viral online. It was the Cruel Kids table saying that MAGA had taken over and won back young people, that this was not going to be my generation, a generation of progressives, right? That woke had lost and that it was over, that Democrats should just give up. Where are we now? Can someone remind me how young people feel about rising costs, the inability to get a job, afford a home, a war that our friends are dying in, an unnecessary illegal war? I think it's incredibly unpopular. But a year ago, MAGA was telling us that they had won the culture war, that they were culturally dominant. And what have they done since then? Again, why I thought it was so funny that Donald Trump was attacking AI-generated images. They have, taken clips from, I don't know if you've seen this, but from video games and movies and Rocky and say that's what this war is. Overlaying clips from, entertainment that like young men like to engage in, like Call of Duty, and being like, yeah, this war, it's a game and we're winning. But it's not. I don't see it as a game. My friends don't. They're seeing their future mortgaged by a bunch of octogenarian politicians who don't care about us, who won't inherit the world that they're breaking, and we're pretty pissed because Donald Trump and Republicans have given up in my future in every single respect. They have. They've saddled us with debt that we'll never be able to pay off, destroyed a housing market that used to thrive on an American middle class that doesn't exist anymore, and talk about our standing in the world. The billions of people watching the Oscar, billion people watching the Oscars. I'm sure they enjoyed some jokes at Donald Trump's expense because the world hates him. And in that way, they hate us. That is what Donald Trump has given us. I made a video about it yesterday, an American general saying that what he's learned in his time in the armed forces is that when we go in and we blow up schools and neighborhoods and communities filled with innocent civilians, it doesn't do anything to help us. It only hurts us. What a surprise. When you go in and topple governments in the name of democracy or nation building in Latin America or the Middle East, people don't like it. When you kill the parents of children who know that it is Donald Trump or Dick Cheney or George W. Bush, or in some instances Barack Obama, let's be real, responsible for them being orphaned, people don't really love America. Why would you? How could you? Do we love this version of America? Do we love our government? I don't think so. Now, that doesn't mean that we can't strive for higher ideals. It's one's duty as a citizen to love their country and to hate their government when their government is full of fucking pedophiles and criminals. But why would anyone watching tonight do anything but laugh at these jokes? They should, and we should. But we should recognize that it is a movement in the culture that is happening. That is why we are laughing. That is leading Donald Trump to say that he will go after the illegitimate treasonous press, anyone who speaks out against him. That is a shift in the culture. And it is not just enough to see it and remark upon it and put a smile on your face because of it and say, yeah, let's go win those midterms. and then do nothing, and then wonder why we continue to repeat this process. Because if we don't see the shifting of the culture and take part in it and try to shift it more, to do big structural change in our party that allowed us to get back here to a point of Donald Trump, then we're just as much at fault. We should not just see this moment, recognize it, and be excited about it, but take advantage of it and take ownership of our failures, how we allowed Donald Trump to con Americans into this place. Because he did, he tricked them and he lied to them. So how do we fix that? How do we take advantage of this moment should be the question. It's a question we're certainly going to ask. Doesn't mean we won't just be having fun all the time. We're certainly going to have a lot of fun, but we got to look at that fun and see what it means. We're going to talk about that on the show. Y'all, I've been feeling pretty sad recently, if I can just be honest with you and level, which I think I can. I hope I can. I do. And I was texting with a friend today, and I was just like, I feel depressed. I don't want to talk about this shit. And I texted him later. I was like, I think I realized why. It's because everything is super sad right now. So let's enjoy these moments.